did it.
I think finding the cohesion was one of the personal challenges that made the whole thing. Whether or not I was completely satisfied with whether I was succeeded in making all those connections, the work of doing it, I think it sharpened my attention to the music and the visual elements together. Looking for the connections, regardless of the final product, was a real productive and gratifying thing.
Great. Any performers they're part of this discussion too, so I'd like to open this up to you as well.
They're in the black over there.
They're in the black. Can we turn out the lights a little bit more?
Chris, are you there?
We're working on it. There we go. Look functional. It'll work. Nico?
I was just going to say awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes, and
I thought that was such a nice way of putting it. For me watching it, because I hadn't seen all the elements together yet,
Mhm.
and I agree that the work of finding connections, the oranges connecting to the oranges, to the word oranges, to the song,
Mhm.
I started to make meaning. Lots of meaning, actually. And then the presence of the ghosts at the end, because the humans that we were talking about, that people here in this room have written down, it became as if all these other people were here with us.
Mhm.
And it made me think of people I've lost, and they were here with me now. So I agree, and it kept me in the room too, and it kept me looking for it. And it was I became an active watcher.
Good.
I appreciated that very much.
One of the central goals that I had for this performance was to open up the idea of meaning to be something that you could determine while you watched this. I like performing experiences to be one where the audience is entitled and enabled to think about it and come up with their own evaluations. I did not have a set idea about what this meant, and I wanted, if anything, like I think we're seeing, hopefully, is that it would allow you to ponder some of these things and to determine if there was a sense of meaning that you had, or if you came to any new ideas as a result of the combination of the elements, or as a result of your memories being included in this performance. Yes, Patrick.
I found the burial scene, the shrouds, particularly compelling segment of the visual, which just really caught my attention, focused my attention.
Anyone else? Yes.
I actually am sorry to have to say this, but I found the overlay of a truly heteronormative, once again, the woman's dead body,
Mm-hmm.
really, I don't know, it for me, it undermined the effectiveness of the music and even the video, which were less narrative in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and less, well, it was stereotypical and nothing else was. And even though you can hear my
Yeah.
doing this, even though the images themselves and the movement itself was beautiful, what it was representing for me felt like I was being put someplace back that I don't want to be anymore.
Can I just hear again, was it just a woman's dead body that we just did?
Yeah, it's a woman's dead body, and
I
that
understand that
story.
very well, yeah.
over
It was
and over
just so you
again.
know, it's practical, she's the only one they could lift, but
Yeah.
It's very, very helpful, I appreciate that comment,
Yeah.
thank you, I appreciate it. It was purely practical in this situation, but it's mindful, we must be mindful of that.
And we did have a discussion.
And can I say one more thing about practicality?
Yeah.
That is, I mean, after saying all of that, it was very hard to see it from here. So
Sure. Yeah.
if the staging could have included a beer or something, so that
To
what
look
I didn't want to see
Yeah.
was more visible to me.
So you could really see what bothers you better. I know.
Exactly.
And in version 2.0, I think that would happen.
Sure.
That's great, thank you.
Yes.
One thing that I found interesting was that while watching the piece, I sort of started to remember other people in my life that I've lost that I didn't think of instantly. You know, when we were asked to write something down, but then I heard something in the lyrics that was like, You know, it's happened, like, I will forget again. And then there's another line, I don't know if it was in another song, that was like, you know, we will keep you in our memory.
Mm-hmm. Their memory, a requiem.
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
That might have been it.
Yeah. So it was just kind of an interesting contrast of, like, it's easy to try to forget things that, like, the feelings that go
Mhm.
along with losing someone,
Sure.
because they hurt us, but that it's important to try to remember them for their sake, or I don't know.
We talked about that piece a lot in the choral rehearsals. That, in some ways, that was the most challenging piece for us to get our heads around, because I think that it's this very repetitive piece, and after each line of text, the choir sings "Glory, Hallelujah," and all of the sentences between are some sort of a statement about a person that's gone.
Mhm.
So we're trying to sort of understand what all that repetition is for, and what it means, and they came up with some incredibly insightful
Yeah.
ideas about how, you know, for some people that sort of repetition is it's a comfort measure. It's a way to try to convince yourselves that things are going to be okay, or to
Mhm.
to instill faith in an afterlife from a religious
Yeah.
perspective. But it was very, very interesting to discuss that with singers. So thank you for sharing that. That's
And it did help me remember someone.
Good.
So that
good.
I guess was effective.
Yes.
Hi, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to thank everybody for coming today and also for sharing your pieces up there as well. I was like backstage, like, get together, gal, you have to go over bows and but it was so beautiful, and you know, and whether you know it or not, you guys are a part of making the theater.
Yes.
So we're all on our way to becoming theater makers, and thank you so much for your contribution.
Appreciate that very much. Yeah, Ryan.
I think for me it was really interesting because when I was coming in, the instruction was to write a memory of someone, and I didn't know if they were supposed to be with us or not with us.
Right.
And I personally have not experienced much loss within my family, so the memory that I wrote was of somebody still here. So in this program that seemed to be so much about loss and longing, to just contemplate the role of that very important person in my life
Mm-hmm.
and what I might experience as I lose them was a real challenge for me because I didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
That's
That's very interesting.
a second thought is that in a program that also deals so much with loss and longing, I think from what I've heard so far from the audience is that we all felt so present in thinking of loss and longing. So it's kind of an interesting paradox.
That's great. That's great. Yes.
Your mother's.
Yes, my mother.
Mother's pretty concrete, and I also don't pay a lot of attention to lyrics a lot of the time.
Okay.
But I was, of course, thinking about your grandmother in the shroud scene because I saw that happen to her.
Mhm.
But there was also a mention about friends, and I'm at an age where that eventuality, I haven't lost a friend yet,
Mhm.
but it was a real turnaround in the whole scope of grief and the passage that we make through life. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Andy,
Yeah.
I wanted to say to our director, this symbol of the orange and the fact that it continued through was really wonderful because this was the idea of the fruits of our love, the fruits of our labor, the fruits of life, and the fact that it reappeared at the very end and it was passed from one person to another meant that we carry those things
Yeah.
onward into our lives. So I thought that was a beautiful metaphor. Thank you so much for that.
Well, it came from the words. We found it in the text of the songs, Orange Blossoms, and
Yeah.
the two lovers like oranges.
Savoring their oranges,
Savoring their
yeah.
oranges. And we all said, ooh, that's incredibly beautiful. And then one day we just brought in a bag of oranges, and you can't imagine the things they did.
I was getting a little nervous when you were telling me about that.
Splattered against the wall. Just ecstatic stuff.
You should have been part of that experience.
On Monday, I'll bring some oranges so you guys can.
Thank you, though. I agree. I thought, and then it turned into, G. Chang just brought in orange to his video too, based
Yeah.
on that we had pulled orange out of lyric,
Yeah.
none of us were working together. We were
Oh,
just sharing
fascinating.
threads of impulses. So just shows you that sometimes that's just interesting. Plus, oranges aren't in the winter, so it feels like something that dares to live with this tundra outside. It's sort of audacious.
That contrast, I hadn't thought about that. That's really interesting.
I find that totally about rebirth, and there's a seed inside. And the actors really built that, but thank you. I agree. I thought it was lovely.
Zicheng, do you have anything that you'd like to share about kind of, because in some ways you were involved with this project towards the end, after everybody else had started rehearsing and sort of developing the performance. I mean, what was it like for you sort of becoming part of the project after everybody else had started?
I've never done anything like that before, so I found it a little bit challenging to come up with ideas about what videos I want to make.
Mm-hmm.
But after I heard the songs and I saw the theater piece, I sort of got a feeling that I want to make this kind of stuff. Like the first orange video and the second one about the snowman.
Mm-hmm.
So
I thought they were really beautiful.
I thought the videography was, beautiful, really
Really,
compelling.
really well done.
It formed our connective tissue, really. He took the elements and he kind of created something really cool.
Sure. Mike?
the videos made me feel, and not in a bad way, they made me feel kind of uncomfortable just because there was like a lack of sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't a bad thing. It was a very reflective moment throughout
Yeah.
the performance. It felt like it helped me think a lot about just like the images that were on the screen, not, that it was mentioned earlier, it was sometimes difficult to focus when all of the things are going on at the
Right.
same time. And sometimes that's a very dynamic, it's very dynamic when like the dancers are moving, or the, actors are moving at the same time as the singers were singing. But it was a very reflective discomfort.
That's good. That's good. Yes?
Going off of that reflective discomfort, they anchored the music and the acting. Like, they took what Wu Cheng was talking about. They took what the music was talking about and what the actors were doing, and they made you sit in silence and contemplate it. So.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, Merlin?
Still in the vein of the video accompaniment, I wonder if you had any particular idea with using it, because I felt there was almost a weird focus adjustment, as if you watch a camera adjusting its focus when we went from what was so concrete and present here and frequently somewhat narrative to a much more abstract version, literally inside of a frame.